Well, hello to my Order Your Steps audience. I'd like to welcome Myiesha Speight. And yes, there is no coincidence. She is, in fact, my daughter. This year for Order Your Steps, I decided to have a theme of moving forward by faith. And instead of doing a conference, because of course we have a lot of limitations right now, I decided to do an interview series. And I wanted to start with three young ladies who I believe have a story to tell. First one being my own daughter, Myiesha. So welcome, Myiesha, to Order Your Steps.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm glad you agreed to participate. Your topic for today was or is you finished college, now what? Now, tell us a little bit about where you are now, and then share with us a little bit. No, let's just share a little bit about yourself, and that's where we'll start.
All right, so my name is Myiesha Speight, as my mother mentioned already, and I am currently the resident librarian at Towson University. So, with that position, I get to do a little bit of everything in the world of librarianship. As far as what I hope to do, who knows at this point, but my contract is a 3-year term. So, we're approaching the end of year two.
Okay, all right, fantastic. So in 2012, when you graduate, when did you graduate college?
2014.
Okay, so in 2014, you graduated magna cum laude from Winston-Salem State University. So tell us, what were your thoughts on your graduation day?
Oh my gosh, I cry graduation day. I'm so serious. So, uh, college was tough because I think I was away from home and I was on the honors program. So it was very educationally rigorous. I think that's the word I'm looking for. So by the time I got to graduation and I had the diploma in hand, I was like, tears, 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 tears. And then one of my friends was next to me and we had a little hug session because I was like, it was such a relief to be done. And then after that, I needed a break. So I definitely took some time off afterwards.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Now, in your bio, you said you were somewhat of a wanderer. What did you actually do in the first few years after graduation, after resting?
What did that do? So, I when I graduated from college, I had the idea that I did want to go to grad school eventually. But I didn't want to take the GRE, which, if anyone's familiar with upper level education, most places, most master's level education require a GRE. So I just assumed that I wouldn't be able to. I didn't want any more testing. I didn't want any more schooling. So I sort of disqualified myself from that, without really looking too much into it. So in the meantime, in between time, I needed to do something. So I literally did just about everything. I was a docent at the National Postal Museum, so I got really good at giving tours, and we also did the gallery experiences. I was a now it's like, what have I done? I was a tutor for some for an amount of time. I also did closed captioning for as a freelancer. I worked at a cafe for a considerable amount of time, until it came to I should probably figure out what to do with my life full time, which is why I pursued advanced education.
That's interesting. So what do you believe was your turning point um, in deciding to go to grad school? I mean, was there something that just struck you, or I mean, what was it? What you like? Halt! I'm done. being a wanderer, I wanted to put a stake in the ground and do something. What was that turning point for you?
Well, I also worked at a bookstore at one point. But the turning point for I should probably pursue upper level education was I was in the cafe and I was overqualified. I mean, let's be real. It's not even thinking too highly of myself. It was, I had some supervisors came up to me. It's like, what are you doing here? We love you. We do. Like, you're a breath of fresh air. You're amazing. But what are you doing here? And we'll keep you for as long as you want. So when they came up to me, it's like, what? It kind of became glaringly obvious that I'm living below my potential. And to be honest, too, working at a cafe, that was never a long-term job that I wanted. I think I just needed something to do. And I think the environment was getting to a point where I needed something to do because it was physically taxing. But when I had that conversation with some of the supervisors, what are you? And it really got me in my like, what am I doing? that forced that decision. And then taking stock of my interests, I've always loved libraries, I always loved books, and that seemed most important, like that most connected to my interests. And then come to find out that GRE requirement that was going to be a hindrance 4 or 5 years beforehand, I was like, oh yeah, you had good grades in college, so you don't need to take the GRE. And
Who
what?
knew?
We're going to we're going to library school then. But there wasn't really any other degree that I wanted to pursue. Maybe English for a while, but I think ultimately, library science connected me most to all of my interests.
Is there anything that you'd like to share with my audience that maybe you haven't spoken of up until this point?
I think some of the best advice I've been given, because I think it's very easy to look at someone's journey and like, hey, I want that. And it's no, not you. It's a lot more work involved. So I think it's not comparing yourself to anybody else's journey. I think you don't have to have it all figured out, because obviously you can hear in my story, I took some time to figure out what I wanted. I think I took a lot of time to mature. So I graduated from college in 2014. I didn't go to grad school to 2019, question mark. I think it was 2017. So there was some time where it was, I should need to figure out. And I encourage people not to jump into a decision because they are comparing themselves to other people or they think they need to have that same journey. I did not. I was very much, I need to figure this out. I need a break, though that break turned into longer than I may have thought it should. I think it's all in the right timing, ultimately. Because there's things I would like to have done differently, but I can't say I would have changed anything, really, because it led me to where I am right now.
Many times I know that young people go into college, well, growing up, in your generation specifically, I believe, as your mom, as well, was that, you're going to get a degree. It was like non-negotiable. And I'm sure a lot of mothers and dads out there are thinking the same thing, but I don't know if they prepare their children for life that comes with, you've got a degree, now what?
Oh yeah. No, we have had plenty of those conversations as far as no one really prepares you for adulthood. And even someone, so I'm fully okay with saying I am 28 years old and I do not consider myself an adult most days because it's like, are you sure? Because we have such a view of what adulthood looks like. But I think it is a learning process. And I think what I could say with a lot to someone coming out of college specifically, it's like, it's a learning process, and it's probably going to be messy, and it's probably going to be falling down. But I think the things that you learn about yourself in the process, and just how much you can grow and to allow yourself to grow, I think it's worth it. But I'm not underplaying it. It's tough. I wish someone had told me how tough some days are. Worthwhile in the long run, obviously, but it's tough. But I think it's all worth it. I wouldn't happen any other way.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. And you gave me another thought. And you mentioned something that I think is very profound for young adults, for adults, period. The fact that the comparison, I mean, we have a nature now, with social media and, everything that's out there. It's like, well, I haven't done this in this amount of time and I should have done this by this age. And look at so and so over there. Look how much they're doing. And I think what you're saying to my audience, young and old, because we're all in that same spiral of social media and who's doing what, and everyone's lives are on Facebook or some platform, and just not resisting the urge to go and look and compare yourself and decide, well, because I haven't done thus and so by the time I'm 25, from the time I'm whatever, it puts us in a state where we're grabbing at something that may not exist. And that growing process, I think, is critical at any age. I mean, we're always learning, we're always growing, and we have to allow ourselves to be ourselves first, and then whatever comes. Again, thank you for joining us. We're going to continue this interview series. We hope that you will make comments and really kind of participate, share your stories, because everyone has a story to tell. And your steps are truly ordered. Thank you so much, Myiesha.
Thank you.
And the rest of you have a wonderful day.
Bye.